welcome back to Reading with SJ, where I read a book and then talk about it because maybe by me talking about it will make you want to pick up the book or, I don't know, introduce you to a new author or something. I don't know. I just like talking about books. So here we are. So for the month of December, I thought about picking up like a little Christmas type read. I did that with the month of October for Halloween. And I ended up picking up Lights Out by Novessa Allen. And while that was not a Halloween book whatsoever, I loved every minute of reading that book. So I picked up How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Meghan Quinn. So going into this book, I was told, this was all I was told, that it is like a modern day retelling of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I was like, cool, awesome. I love that because I love How the Grinch Stole Christmas. This was a very easy read. It does go between two different point of views, but it's actually really easy to follow. Chapters are relatively short. They're not like 50-page long chapters. This book also contains artwork, like little pictures throughout the book, which I actually really enjoy. There's something about artwork being in a book where I just feel more immersed. With this book, I did also listen to the audio, and I will say that I usually don't listen to the audio and read at the same time, but I did that with this book, and I will say the audio is actually a lot better than the book because you don't just have one person narrating the whole book. It goes between the two people playing the characters. So the audio was really, really good. So if you cannot get into the book, I highly recommend listening to the audio. The audio is like 10 times better. As for spice, I would put the spice level on like a 2.5, 3. It wasn't too spicy, but it just had that right amount of spice. Now, is this like a modern day retelling of How the Grinch Stole Christmas? Not necessarily. One thing that you can use to maybe tie it in and say it is exactly like How the Grinch Stole Christmas or right along those lines is every chapter starts off with like a little poem. So for example, chapter 2, from Cole's point of view, starts off with snow from the night before glistens across the bitter ground, while news of the sisters' arrival spreads all throughout town. The gossip is crisp, the excitement oh so thick, while Cole stomps around as a very unhappy Dick. So you can see how those little beginning things in the chapter can kind of tie in with rhyming like a Dr. Seuss book. Also, the back of it says, every Kringle in Kringletown celebrated Christmas a lot, but Cole Black on Whistler Lane unfortunately did not. So a lot of the writing style with those little like poems or whatever remind me a lot of Dr. Seuss. Also, the cover, How My Neighbor Stole Christmas, with the hand, it reminds me a lot of the image of the Grinch with his hand coming down holding, I think, an ornament or something like that. So, and it takes place around Christmas time. So I guess you can say it's kind of like How the Grinch Stole Christmas, but it's kind of not. So this book takes place in a small town nestled in the mountains where it is Christmas year round. I am talking 24/7, 365. I don't think they know any other holiday. I don't think they know any other season. It is Christmas year round. It is like it is like somebody took a Christmas snow globe, broke it, and dumped it over this mountain. The town is called Kringletown. The park in the book is called Ornament Park. The local bar is called Princer's Libations. The antique store, Antlers Antiques. Everything in this little town is very Christmas, winter wonderland oriented. And that is kind of cute. And I have to know, after reading this book, I have to know if there are towns like that truly exist, because I think that's pretty cool. But also, I don't know if I could handle living in a town that is Christmas year round. I can only take so much snow, and I can only take so much Christmas music and hot chocolate before I lose my mind. We have two main characters, a male and a female. The female, her name is Storee, Storee Taylor. She is described as very beautiful red hair. She used to come visit her great aunt, Cindy, every year for Christmas, all the way up until she was 18. the town was just so magical to her. It was just a beautiful place to spend Christmas until one year she decided to put on like a little show, and something completely embarrassing happened when she was doing that show, and she actually tripped, fell, and a lady in the wheelchair ended up in the lake. Yeah. All the townspeople laughed, gossiped about her, and she truly hated that. So she left and she did not come back. But she also went off to college, got a job, was finding herself. So she felt she just didn't have the time to come back to Kringletown. And we have Cole Black, who is the male main character in the book. I'm picturing like a lumberjack when I think of Cole Black. Flannel shirt, dark wash jeans, muscular arms, hiking boots, just the right amount of beard. That is what I'm picturing when I think of Cole Black. He and Story were childhood friends. Story would always come over when she was visiting her great aunt, and they would drink hot chocolate on the porch together. But over the years, he has started to hate Christmas. So people in the town debate on the reason why he hates it, but the reason he does not like Christmas is the Christmas Eve before Story left Kringletown and never came back. His parents actually died driving during a snow blizzard. So because they died on Christmas Eve, Cole, when the Christmas season comes around, Cole just does not partake in the Christmas joy, which is completely understandable. If a loved one of mine passed away on, I feel like Christmas would therefore be tainted and I could not partake in the joy anymore. Now, like I said, Story has not been to Kringletown in years, ever since that embarrassing situation happened with her. But that all changes when her great aunt Cindy falls and breaks her hip. So she needed somebody to come take care of her for like a month or two. So Story and her sister Taryn arrived to Kringletown. They lived in California. One thing is, Story hates the cold. She hates the snow. And in a way, she despises the town because she can't comprehend why it's Christmas year-round. Ever since that embarrassing situation happened to her, she has come to despise the town. Taryn and Story arrive to help take care of Aunt Cindy. And then once they arrive, they divvy up the room situation. Taryn's like, I'm taking this room over here, and you can have that room. And Story's like, I don't want that room. That room's the creepy room. That room has all the American Girl dolls in it. I don't want that room. Taryn and Story's great aunt Cindy collects American Girl dolls. Everything from the dolls to the different outfits to the different sets and stuff that you can get. And she sets them all up throughout the room. Story's like, that is creepy. They stare at me. I feel like they're judging me. And you know, I can relate to that. I also collect dolls. I have 2 bookcases on the side of my room right here that is top to bottom full of dolls. Anything from Rainbow High, Monster High, Barbie, and everything in between. And people will come into this room, which we have dubbed the doll room, and they'll look and they'll be like, that is creepy. I could never sleep in this room. And I'm like, well, I don't sleep in this room. I'm in this room to straighten things up, take photography, photos of my dolls in different scenes, and do reviews on dolls and toys, and then read and do reviews on books. I'm not sleeping in here. They're like, how do you handle them all looking at you? And I'm like, it's a toy. But American Girl dolls are on another level with their creepy little smiles. I don't think I could handle that. So I get Story thinking that's creepy. But Taryn tells her, I'm going to be video chatting with my boyfriend, Guy, so I can't be in the room with the American Girl dolls, sorry. So Story, unfortunately, does have to take the room with the American Girl dolls. Now, Cole's house is right next door to Aunt Cindy's house, and he sees Taryn and Story arrive, and he turns to his best friend, childhood friend, through thick and thin, Max, who also goes by Atlas. Honestly, if I had a name like Atlas, I would want to go by Atlas 24/7. I don't think I'd ever want to go by a basic name of Max. Anyways, he's like, bro, did you know that they were arriving? And Max is like, I have no idea what you're talking about. One thing about Max is he has all the town's gossip. This man has the tea on everyone, and I feel like he needs to write a gossip column along the lines of Gossip Girl for this small town, because I would eat that shit up. I would read it every single day, like the morning paper. So Cole isn't too happy that Story is back because he's a little pissed off at her for leaving like she did all those years ago and didn't even say goodbye, didn't even ask if he was okay, because she left right around the time that his parents got in that car accident. So surely she knows his parents got in a car accident, and how dare she not ask or come back or anything after all these years to see if he's okay. Right around Christmas time in this town, they put on this little contest, this little competition type of thing called the Christmas Kringle Contest. And it is thrown for all of the townspeople to like enjoy or partake in and find out who has the most like Christmas type spirit in the town. Every year, Aunt Cindy has competed in this contest, and she's usually gotten like, I think maybe like second place or something like that, but she's never gotten first. Unfortunately, because she has fallen and broken her hip, she cannot partake in the contest. So Taryn and Aunt Cindy set Story down and be like, it would be really wonderful if you would partake in the Christmas Kringle Contest in honor of Aunt Cindy. And Story's over here like, well, geez, when you throw it around like that I am doing it in honor of Aunt Cindy, I can't say no. So I'm gonna have to partake in this contest. Well, when Cole finds out that Story is going to be in this contest, he's upset. He's like, how dare an out-of-towner, somebody who hates this town, who hasn't been to this town in years, how dare she enter the contest? No, that is ridiculous. So what does Cole do? Cole decides to enter in the contest because he is now determined to beat Story. So the first part of this contest is where you make like an eggnog drink. I have never had eggnog. I have no desire to have eggnog. It does not look very appetizing to me. You make like an eggnog concoction. You can, I guess, use a lot of different types of flavors or whatever. Aunt Cindy was trying to have Story use ginger, and Story's like, that is disgusting. We are not using ginger. So this competition is going to be held at Prancer's Libations, which I've said in the beginning is like a small town bar. Two guys from New York came over, bought it, turned it into a bar. So it's like a small town bar with big city vibes, which is how Cole describes it. In the beginning, as they are walking to Prancer's Libations, like when they walk out of their house, they run into Cole and Max, and Story and Cole just start bickering, doing their little bickering thing, which I love when they bicker, like when the two main characters bicker. I don't know why I love that, but I do, because, you know, if they're either like such good friends and they just mesh really well together, or, you know, it's eventually going to lead between the two of them falling in love. And Aunt Cindy and Taryn are like, listen, we have an idea. If he's going to bicker and all of that, here, let's do this so we can definitely win. Taryn cakes so much powder all over Aunt Cindy's face to make it look like this woman is on her deathbed, that this is going to be her last Christmas. They are taking the fact that Aunt Cindy is old, that she fell and she broke her hip, full force. They're taking full advantage of it. So Aunt Cindy's in her wheelchair, looking frail, like a gust of wind is just going to blow over and break all of her bones. They roll into Prancer's Libations, and Cole looks over and he's like, you know, when she left the house a little while ago, she looked completely fine. Now she looks like she's on death's door. What are they getting at? So all team members, whatever, contestants, bring forth their eggnog concoctions, and Cole is over here like, I got this in the bag. I am definitely going to win. I mean, how could I not? I have not partaken in any Christmas type of stuff for years, and here I am partaking in this, so I got this in the bag. I am going to win. And then Bob Krampus, the mayor, which I don't understand the last name, Krampus. I know the fairy tale of Krampus, and it's not a very happy fairy tale, but okay. All right, we'll just go with it. He announces the winner, and Cole is ready. He's like gonna stand up. He's gonna take his bow. He's gonna be like, thank you, thank you. Krampus announces that Story has won. Cole looks over and sees all three girls celebrating, and oh, there's Aunt Cindy standing up out of her wheelchair, jumping around all happy and excited with Story and Taryn. I thought she was frail and this was her last Christmas. Doesn't seem like it to me. So Cole is now, if they are going to play dirty, I'm going to play just as dirty. Now we have the second part of the competition, which is the upcycling challenge. Basically where you take items that are old, give them a new life, or, take, I don't want to say garbage or stuff like that, but cardboard or stuff like that, and you recycle it into giving it new life, pretty much. Now, this competition is being held by Sherry, who is in charge of like the environmentalist stuff around town. And one thing about Sherry is she loves dogs. She loves How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and she loves Thunder from Down Under. I don't know what Thunder from Down Under is. I could have researched it for this video, but I decided to be lazy and not do that. Max is like, if they're going to play dirty, let's take a page out of their book. This is what Sherry likes. And Cole is just over here like, bro, how do you know this? Like I said, Max has got like the gossip on everyone in town. And he takes out a pair of lederhosen from a bag and he goes, you're going to be wearing this. Cole is like, nah, man, nah, I'm not. And Max is like, bro, yeah, you are, because we're going to combine dogs, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and Thunder from Down Under. We're going to combine all three of those things and give this town a show. As for Aunt Cindy's Story and Taryn, Aunt Cindy explains, I actually won this part of the competition last year. I did the scene out of Meet Me from St. Louis or St. Louis. Is it Meet Me from St. Louis or is it Meet Me from St. Louis? Anyways, Aunt Cindy, dressed as Judy Garland, sat outside of a cardboard window and sang, have yourself a merry little Christmas. And there wasn't a dry eye in the crowd. She won. So Aunt Cindy's like, let's redo that. Let's reuse everything because it'll be recycling. But I will be sitting on the opposite side of the window and you just kind of reach through and hold my hand as you're singing. Like I said, they're taking advantage of the fact that Aunt Cindy is old and frail, has fallen and broken her hip, and they're putting on the story that this could be Aunt Cindy's last Christmas. They arrive at Ornament Park where this part of the competition is going to be put on, and Taryn asks Story, are you okay? You look nervous. Girl, do you not remember what happened to your sister all those years ago? I think Story has every right to be nervous. And Story's like, well, yeah, considering the last time I did something like this, I tripped and I knocked an old lady in a wheelchair into the water. So yeah, Taryn, I think I'm a little nervous. Taryn goes on to explain that no worries. I have, moved everything on the stage to where you cannot trip. I have already put up your display. And I will be the one wheeling Aunt Cindy out onto the stage. All you have to do is walk out on stage and sit down and do as you've rehearsed. Story goes out on stage, sits down. She starts singing the song, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, dressed as Judy Garland. And Aunt Cindy is on the opposite side of this little cardboard window. Story decides to take it one step further by leaning over and giving Aunt Cindy a kiss on the cheek. And in the crowd, people are dabbing at their eyes. They're eating this shit up. So they're like, yeah, we got this in the bag. We are going to win. So when Story walks out on stage to go backstage, back to the warm tent, she runs right into Max and Cole. And she's just like, the fuck are you guys wearing? And oh my God, those abs. The thighs. The muscles. She is straight up drooling over Cole. And Cole's like, you like what you see? Story's like, you look ridiculous. Cole's like, that's not what the drool inside of your mouth says. So the music starts for Cole and Max to do their thing. Max is the first one to walk out on stage, strutting like a little dog, and then sits down on his marker like a dog. And these short shorts, and he has his whole package on display. for the town. They're doing the scene from The Grinch where, if you remember, it's a mirror and the Grinch is like behind the mirror and he's throwing clothes, trying to find something to wear to the Who party. So they have this mirror set up. Cole is like, you can't see Cole because he's behind the mirror and he's tossing clothes. And these are clothes that they found at Antlers Antiques, so they're reusing stuff. And then I guess some music from Thunder from Down Under starts playing. And that is Cole's cue to pop out from behind the mirror. And he hates that he's doing this. He thinks this is so stupid. But at the same time, he's like, if they want a show, I'm going to give them a show. He pops his leg out first. Then he comes out from around the mirror with, like, he's painted green like the Grinch, but he's got his abs and his muscles on display. And he does a booty wiggle. He does a pelvic thrust, everything. And the town is going crazy. They are eating this up. They are in love with this. People are recording, so on and so forth. So their little thing is done. They walk off stage and Story confronts them and she's like, that was the most un-Christmas thing I ever said. And no way in part of the movie, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, did he ever do a pelvic thrust. And Cole is like, I guess me and you have been watching two different versions of the movie then. No surprise, Cole and Max ends up winning the competition, and it goes, Cole hated Christmas. He hated the whole season. And like I said before, the town debated the reason. But last night, his mood changed. And now, in the season, he trusts, all thanks to green body paint and one flamboyant pelvic thrust. The town is split. Some think it was Cole's lederhosen that took it all, but Martha says it was because Max's shorts were 2 sizes too small. And like I said, Cole and Max won that part of the competition. Story is pissed, as she does eventually find out that 3 of Sherry's favorite things are dogs, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and Thunder from Down Under. So she's like, they did their fucking research. They are playing dirty, so I'm going to play even dirtier. She decides to leave the house and go to the hardware store to speak to Paula and Peach, the 2 women who own the hardware store, as the next part of the competition is going to be the light display, where you decorate your house, all beautiful in Christmas lights. But the one rule is you cannot use inflatables. I don't blame them. I hate the inflatables. I don't get the love for the inflatables. They're loud. It's like you look at it and there's just this loud motor running, and then during the day there's just this deflated mess all over your yard. I sound like a Karen. I need to stop. Anyways, those are basically the rules. Like, you cannot use inflatables. While she is walking to the hardware store, she runs into Cole, and turns out Cole is headed in the same direction. When they arrive at the hardware store, Cole goes right up and he starts talking to Paula and Peach. And Story is just kind of like hanging back, entranced and checking out this plunger. But really, what she's trying to do is spy on Cole and see exactly what it is he's trying to do for his Christmas light display. Little does she know, she's not the greatest at being stealthy, because Cole has caught on. Now, Cole has decided to call Max and just be like, listen, we're pretty much role playing here. Just go with what I say, because Story is following me around the store. And Story she's going from like shelf to shelf, looking at odds and ends and listening to Cole go on, I think we should do Understated this year. But also, Paula and Peach are really into like the 55-foot tall Santa Claus, also thinking about getting those inflatable snow globes, this and that. Story is all proud of herself because she's like, I know exactly what they're doing. She runs home, she bursts inside the door, and she's like, I know what they're doing. And Aunt Cindy's like, what is who doing? What are you talking about? She's like, I spied on Cole at the hardware store. He's talking about doing Understated, but also he's bringing in this giant inflatable snow globe with this tall Santa Claus, and he's building the whole light display around it. So we have to beat him. Aunt Cindy and Taryn are just looking at Story and shaking their head. And Story's like, what? What? Taryn's like, did you read the rule book? Story's like, I skimmed through it. She's like, inflatables are not allowed in the competition. So you just got played. And Story's like, no, he didn't play me. He definitely did not know that I was watching him. And they're like, no, Story, he knew. Sweetheart, he knew. Story is a little upset because she was like, I thought I was being stealthy. I thought, he couldn't see me. So now she's like, okay, well, we need to figure something out. We need to figure something out fast for this light display. So on the day that they are hanging the lights, Taryn is hanging these lights, and she's making sure every single light bulb is facing the exact same way. And I will say, it looks nice because my stepdad was the same way when it came to hanging Christmas lights. Every bulb had to be the exact same way. Don't miss those days of hanging Christmas lights. I really don't. And it could be why my Christmas tree has no lights on it, because I have grown to hate Christmas lights. They're doing this, Cole and Max walk up and Story turns around and they just start kind of like little bit bickering, and Story's like, my light display is gonna knock yours out of the water. And Cole's like, remind me to wear my glasses so my retinas don't burn. As they're doing all of this, Martha and May, the twins who live like across the street, come walking over, and they're like, oh, it is so good to see you two together again. Oh, we remember the days when you used to sit outside on Cole's porch drinking hot chocolate. And Story's like, yeah, I don't remember those days. And then Cole somehow just flips it all, and he's like, yeah, I've been trying to ask her out for some hot chocolate, but she just doesn't want to. And Martha and May are like, oh my God, Story, please accept his offer. He is such a good boy, and he takes care of all of us around town. We would love to see you two together, blah, blah, blah. As they walk away, Story was like, what the hell was that? What the hell was that? Cole is just like, I don't know. It was kind of like a spur of the moment decision there. He goes, kind of liked it though, as they love a good romance, and that gave them the impression that you were the one holding out while I was over here trying to get your attention. Story's like, all it did was make me look bad. And Cole shrugs and he just goes, yeah, but it made me look like the ultimate hopeless romantic, so I win for me. Anyway, good luck with the lights, pal. Him and Max walk away, and Story turns to Taryn and she goes, we need more lights. We need a shit ton of more lights. And Taryn's like, no, what we have is enough. We don't need any more lights. I'm swear to you, Story, this light display is going to look beautiful. Green and red, all wrapped in a bow. Cole's house was lit. It was entirely aglow. While next door, the display was not so bright, because 20 boxes of strands were far too little light. Did that stop Story? No way. She simply said, if I can't win this one, I'll get revenge instead. And that is exactly what Story does. Aunt Cindy is like, if he is playing dirty, you might as well play dirty too, sweetheart. So Story waits until the entire block, little cul-de-sac, is asleep. She sneaks out of Aunt Cindy's back door, goes across Aunt Cindy's backyard and into Cole's side yard. And the whole time she is doing this, she is like, you are quick. You are practically invisible. You are stealth. Stealth Story, quick Story, invisible Story. And I'm like, no, because there's snow on the ground. Snow leaves footprints, leaves tracks. So you're really not being that stealthy, that quick, that invisible. She gets to the strand of the lights on Cole's house, and she takes one strand and she unscrews the light bulb, and it causes the entire one strand to go out. Well, Story was expecting for all the lights to go out, but she'll deal with one strand. She's like, all right, I'm just gonna have to deal with the one strand. And that scene does remind me of the scene out of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, where he unscrewed one light bulb, but just enough to where it did mess with the lights. And Story's running out of time because she realizes Peach and Paula are heading down the cul-de-sac, judging the light displays. And the thing is, you cannot be outside when they're judging. So she's running back to her backyard. But naturally, she's clumsy and she trips over her scarf, goes flying, hits her head on Aunt Cindy's fence, and then has to scurry through and get back inside. With all of that noise, it alerts Cole and Max, and Cole's like, did you hear that? So they run outside to see what it was, thinking maybe it was a raccoon, something, I don't know. And they happen to notice that one strand of lights is out. And they're like, oh, just one strand. And as they're sitting there looking at it, trying to figure out what it was, they notice the footprints and the big mess of dirt over by the big mess of snow, not dirt, over by the fence. And Cole's like, they messed with us. And Mac's like, would they though? Would they really go that low? I don't see them doing that. Cole's like, oh no, they did. But we got to hurry up and get back inside because Paula and Peach are coming this way. So they go inside. They notice Paula and Peach just looking up at the house, kind of like writing stuff down on the notepad and nodding their head. They're like, okay. As soon as they leave, Cole rushes out to go over to Aunt Cindy's house, and Max slows him down. He goes, hey man, hey, take a deep breath. We're going to go out at this nicely. You know, we're not going to just accuse them right out. Cole's like, yeah, okay. They pound on Aunt Cindy's door, and Taryn comes and answers it. And Max says, hello, you must be Taryn. I don't think we've officially... And Cole just bursts past Max and says, where is she? And Max is like, whoa, remember what we talked about, bro? Like, we can't be doing this. We can't just be flat out accusing them. Story is sitting in a chair wrapped up in a blanket. She's got like a heating pad or something on her head because she hit her head pretty hard on the fence. Aunt Cindy is like, Cole, Max, so nice of you to drop in. They're playing dumb. Like, they don't know what happened at all. Cole is just flat out accusing Story of messing with the light display. Story is over here like she's not admitting to it. But Cole knows that she knows, that he knows that she was the one that snuck over and messed with the light display, but he is getting pissed because Story just will not admit to it. So they leave the house, but not before Cole reaches up and pulls down a strand of lights around the doorway and drops it right on the welcome mat. And poor Taryn is just like, oh, my light display. Now, with this, I believe Cole and Max ended up in 4th place. And they fully blame Story for this. They're like, this is all Story's fault. She ruined our light display because we would have definitely taken 2nd or 1st. And I believe Story, if I can remember correctly, Story actually comes in last, and she blames Taryn because she's like, I told you we needed more lights. Understated was not the way to go. Now, the next competition is the Fruitcake Festivus. And the person who is judging this Fruitcake Festivus is Tanya, who works at Warm Your Spirits or Sprites. I think it's like a bar, liquor store or something. I don't know. So Cole and Max decide to go to Tanya and talk to Tanya and try to get some intel of what she likes, fruitcake wise, this and that. When they arrive, they see that Story and Taryn are already there, chatting it up with Tanya. And Max goes, you know, for a second, I assumed we could all act like adults, but clearly that's not an option. And Cole is like, I'm so glad you're finally realizing that. So the both of them walk in and walk up to Taryn and Story. Cole asks Story, what did you order? Story goes, a caramel latte with oat milk extra caramel. Cole nods and notices that Tanya is watching them. So he decides he's going to play all into this. He tucks a strand of hair behind Story's ear and goes, caramel latte with oat milk, extra caramel, committing that to memory. And Tanya's like, ooh, what's going on here? And Cole goes, trying to get this girl to see me. He goes, are you ever going to take me up on my offer to Story? And Max, who's clearly catching on to this whole like little display of like fake affection, leans in and goes, you really should, Story. He's a good guy. And Tanya's like, oh, wait, what's the offer? And Cole looks over and smiles at Tanya and says, I'd love to take Story out on a date, but she's holding out on me. And Tanya's like, oh my God, a date? Oh, Story, what's the holdup? And Cole goes, now, don't blame her. She is, after all, taking care of her dear Aunt Cindy. She has priorities. I'm just being selfish. Now, Story is like pissed. And Cole can feel that she is pissed. Can feel the hatred and everything radiating off of her. And Cole goes, I always looked forward to Christmas, knowing that Story and her family were coming to visit Cindy. I'd watch her from over the fence, hoping she'd give me a chance to talk to her. And she would, but it was never anything romantic. But I loved those moments with her. And instead of holding her hand like I wanted to, I'd just watch her from afar and wonder if I'd ever get my chance. And I thought I'd lost it when she didn't return for 10 years. Now she's here. I'm making it known. And Tanya's just over here like, oh my goodness, my heart can't take this. Story, you realize Cole is the most eligible bachelor in town, right? And Cole just goes, I don't know. Max is giving me a run for my money. Max is like, I think ladies like the smell of reindeer on Cole more. It's those pheromones. Because both Max and Cole work on a Christmas tree farm that also has reindeer on it, all with, you know, the names of Santa's reindeer. And Tanya is just like, oh, you two would be so cute together, and we've never had two Kringolees fall for each other. Imagine the buzz that would float through the town. Two star-crossed lovers supporting and aiding each other in their attempt to be named the Christmas Kringle. Someone call up Lovemark. I think we've got a story in our midst. Lovemark is a little play on Hallmark. They make all those, you know, sappy, lovey, romancy movies. And then Cole goes, want to know a secret, Tanya? And Tanya leans forward and she goes, oh my God, always. I haven't told Story this yet because, well, I know she'd get upset, but did you hear that one of my strands was out on my light display? Tanya's like, I did hear that. And Cole goes, well, we did that on purpose. Cole goes, you see, I knew Story was worried about their display, and despite Taryn doing a great job with the lines, the most precise lights in town, I saw that they lacked creativity. I saw how self-conscious Story was, and well, I wanted her to feel better and not so alone. So I pulled one of the bulbs out of my own strand of lights right before Paula and Peach came by. Tanya's like, oh my God, you didn't. Cole's like, I did. I couldn't stomach her getting last place all alone, so I sabotaged my own light display to make her feel better. Tanya's just over here like, that's so sweet, Cole. Oh, Cole is doing all of this just to piss Story off, just so he comes across as like this star-crossed, or not star-crossed, but like this hopeless romantic who's in love with Story. And in his mind, he's like, I know she will never take me up on my offer for a date, and all it's going to do is make me look like a hopeless romantic, have the town on my side, and Story is going to be looking like a little bitch who is stuck up and has no time, no care, or anything for this guy who is lusting after her. Well, it doesn't go according to plan, because Story is like, I'd love to go on a date with you. And Cole is just over here, well, I wasn't really asking her out, so now this is completely awkward. Tanya goes, oh my God, you should. And how about tonight? Tonight would be the perfect night. And Story's like, why would tonight be perfect? And Tanya goes, tonight is our Cupid Christmas celebration. Just a few years ago, the town came up with the idea to have a date night where couples spend the evening children-free in the streets of Kringle, enjoying all the magic of the season. Martha and May head up all the festivities. Word on the street is they've added at least a dozen more hidden mistletoe leaves throughout town. And Cole's like, I don't want to put any pressure on Story. It might be best if we, but Story cuts him off and goes, no, tonight would be perfect. Story is at home getting ready for this fake date with Cole, and Taryn is just telling her over and over again, I don't think this is a good idea. I don't think you should do this. And Story is like, it's fake. Like, we're doing this just to boost us up into the competition. So Cole picks Story up and they go on their little date. They're walking around town. They're putting on this entire show for the people in town to make it seem like they are into each other. They're going on a date and the townspeople are eating this up. And then they run into Martha and May. And Martha and May is talking about it, and they're like, oh my God, this is so cute that you two are on a date. I love this so much. Blah, blah, blah. And then happen to point up, and where should Cole and Story be standing? Right underneath some mistletoe. So they still got to put on this show. They still, you know, they're standing under mistletoe. So they're like, might as well give them what they want and we'll kiss. They kiss. But one thing is, neither one of them were expecting the fact that they enjoyed that kiss. But of course, they're not going to mention it to either one of them. Cole's not going to mention to Story that he enjoyed kissing her. And Story is not going to bring it up to Cole that she enjoyed kissing him. The both of them are learning that they have feelings for one another, but they cannot act on those feelings because they also hate each other. Dare I say, a not so fake romance is in the biting air. You caught that kiss. You saw that longing stare. Lips were locked and they both felt it all the way to their toes. Now the question is, will they heat up? Nobody knows. So the fruitcake festivious is upon them, and Cole and Max are making some fruitcake that they got a recipe from Max's mom. And Cole is like, this tastes like shit. Bro, this tastes like shit. Max is like, yeah, I'm not a fan either. So they're trying to figure out what they can do to make this fruitcake taste better. And they actually settle on using pineapple instead of what you would usually put in a fruitcake. I don't like fruitcake. I have never had a good tasting fruitcake. So I don't even mess with it during the Christmas season. God, talking about this book and everything, I'm like, wow, I don't like eggnog. I don't like inflatable Christmas stuff. I don't like Christmas lights. And I don't like fruitcake. I am the Grinch. I am a Grinch when it comes to Christmas. Wow. We arrive at the high school where the competition is being put on, and he runs into Story, and the two of them, they have to now act that they like each other. No more of this little bickering or anything like that. They have to continue to put on this show for the townspeople that they like one another. And, Cole is just over here like, good luck, babe. They make their fruitcakes and stuff like that. Now, Story actually ends up coming in first this round, and Tanya goes, Story, how could I not pick Cindy's for first? It is easily the best I've ever had, and you execute it so brilliantly. I believe Cole came in third place, and Tanya says, Cole, the reason you got third place is while your cake was delicious and I loved it, and I was not expecting that from you or Max, your use of pineapple, while good, actually ended up taking it into a more tropical direction than like a Christmassy direction. The fifth part of the competition is making candy canes. This requires you to drive to another town to sit in during like a little lesson being put on by another candy maker. Story has to go alone because can't leave Aunt Cindy alone because she's got a broken hip she needs to be taken care of. And it's, I think, like an hour drive away or something like that, like 45 minutes, something like that. So Story's like, I can't drive in that. There's snow falling. There's snow falling from the sky. It's like a blizzard outside. So I can't drive in that. The entire time that Story is driving this car an hour away on a mountain during falling snow to do this candy cane lesson, she's like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And you know what, girl? I feel that. I feel that because that's how I was when I first drove during snowfall. Story thought it would be a good idea to pull over on the side of the road for just a minute just to let the heavy snowfall pass. That was a very bad decision because her one tire actually ended up getting stuck in like a pothole. She's upset. She's scared. She's crying. She's overreacting. Same. I would do the same, honestly. And I have done the same. I can relate a lot to Story. Suddenly, somebody appears at her driver's side window and she's so happy, but then that happiness fades when she realizes it's Cole. And Cole is like, oh, it's you. Oh shit, you're crying. Oh my God, let's get you out of this car. Let's get you into my car. Let's warm you up, all of this. I'll have Max come along and tow this car back to your aunt's house. And Story's just over here like not truly understanding why Cole is being so nice, but at the same time, she kind of likes it. And Cole is over here not understanding why he's being so nice to Story, but at the same time, he's starting to realize he's catching feelings for Story. Like the both of them, I'm like, oh, you guys like each other, but neither one of you want to admit to it because you're putting on this front that you hate one another because you don't want your hearts to be broken. I get it. During this car ride, though, is when Cole fully opens up to Story about why he does not like Christmas. And Cole goes, that Christmas Eve, when you talked to me on the porch, you said that you hated the town. Story's like, Okay, well, I didn't mean that. Cole cuts her off and goes, and that was when my parents went missing. Story's like, what? What are you talking about? Cole goes, I was out on the porch hoping to run into you because I was scared, nervous. They couldn't find my parents after a big snowstorm. They were supposed to come back that day, but no one had heard from them. When I saw you, I was relieved, but then, and Story goes, oh my God. I went off about the town, how it was so stupid and how I didn't understand why anyone would want to spend a day in and day out celebrating Christmas. Cole goes, I was numb. I didn't want to fight with you. I didn't even want to defend the town that was trying to help find my parents. I slipped into another frame of mind. And then the next day when I wanted to tell you what happened, you weren't there. You had left and I don't know. I took that as your goodbye. You were done with Kringle. You were done with me. Story's like, no, oh my God, that's not what I meant at all. Oh my God, Cole, I'm so sorry. I was so selfish. It was 10 years ago. When I saw you come back into town, it just brought back all that animosity I was feeling. And then when I heard you were going to try to become the Christmas Kringle, I thought, how dare she? And well, the rest is history. So they go into the candy shop to learn how to make their little candy canes, but it turns out the person who owns the candy shop is actually not going to be the one teaching the lesson. He basically just gives them a recipe and says, follow the directions on the recipe. Good luck. So Story and Cole are teamed up together and they're doing good. So they end up actually driving back to Kringle Town together, and the car, Max has towed the car back to Aunt Cindy's house, and Story and Cole are kind of getting like, they're talking, they're laughing, they're joking with one another. And then they arrive at the cul-de-sac, and neither one of them want the other one to go. They want it to keep going, but each of them just get out of the car and go their separate ways. I was just like, come on, you guys, you have feelings for one another. Make it happen. Later that night, who should arrive on Cole's doorstep or porch but Story? The both of them decide to sit outside on the front porch with a thermos of hot chocolate like they used to do back when they were kids. And while they are sitting on this porch and just talking and chatting, Story actually decides to make the first move, and she crawls into Cole's lap and just kisses him. And the both of them are just, they can't stop thinking about this kiss. With Cole getting a little closer to Story, he realizes that he needs to get more into the Christmas spirit. The house that he lives in is the house that he grew up in. It's what his parents left him when they passed away, and he has not touched a single thing in that house. The couch and everything has plastic on it. He has not decorated it for Christmas, nothing. So he decides to go to the Christmas tree farm, and he runs into Max, and he's like, I need a tree. Max is just like, you need a what? A tree? You need a tree for what? And Cole's like, I need a tree for my house. Just don't make this a thing, okay? I need a tree. And him and Max actually end up having this very deep conversation about, do you think she's playing you? Cole's like, no, she's not playing me. And Max is like, listen, I'm happy for you and I think you should go for it. But Cole is also afraid because he's like, if I go for it and I give it my all, she's not staying, she's leaving. What am I supposed to do then? And Max is just like, listen, you never know until you try. So when Cole arrives back home with the tree in the back of his car, he notices that Taryn, Aunt Cindy, and Story are outside of Aunt Cindy's driveway with a bunch of suitcases. And Cole is like, oh my God, she's leaving. Turns out Aunt Cindy has to do physical therapy a town over, and they're going to be gone for a night. And Taryn is taking her. So Story is staying at Aunt Cindy's house alone. With that, when Aunt Cindy and Taryn leave, Story goes right over to Cole's house and they hang out. She tells Cole she's not going to judge him. She goes, everybody processes grief and deals with it differently. I cannot judge you for how you are dealing with it. And actually, the two of them decide to decorate the house a little bit for Christmas. Like, they bring out a lot of Cole's mom's old decorations and stuff like that, and kind of decorate the living room, the dining room, and they even decorate the tree. With them spending all that time in close proximity, you can pretty much guess where that led. So I'll just read you this, and you can imagine it in your mind. Where did they do it? That question is fair. In the bed against the wall, in the living room chair. He thrust and thrust and thrust some more. He thrust until they wore a hole in the floor. And now with Aunt Cindy back, they can only send texts. But that didn't stop Cole from sending sext after sext. Now it is time for the candy cane competition. And you know, they're a little excited. They're a little bit nervous. They think the both of them can, you know, win. But Story and Cole are still doing this fake dating thing around town. They're not letting anyone know that they truly have feelings for one another. They are still putting on an act for everybody. Story is afraid to open up to Aunt Cindy and Taryn that she really does like Cole, because she doesn't want Taryn to know, because she doesn't want Taryn to like go into the spiel like, oh, there you go, you're not paying attention to the competition anymore, or have Taryn lecture her into saying, you know, Cole is just playing you. So they're both keeping it a secret. In this competition, Story actually gets third place, and Cole and Max actually get second place. And who should get first place? Jimmy gets first place. And it's, for some reason, they liked the pineapple flavor that he used for the candy cane, which makes no sense to me, because if Cole and Max used pineapple in their fruitcake, but it took it in a tropical direction, and you are supposed to be making a traditional candy cane for this competition, and Jimmy used pineapple, how? Why did Jimmy win? I don't know. It doesn't make much sense to me. After this competition, Cole actually asked Story out on another date to the Evergreen Tree Farm, which is the tree farm, and it's actually the reindeer farm. Cole is in charge of taking care of the reindeer. Max's family basically adopted Cole into their family when his parents passed away, and Max's dad gave Cole a job on the tree farm taking care of the reindeer. While they're there, Cole introduces Story to all of the reindeer, and Story is like really taken aback, because she's like, I love that you love your job. I can see you're very passionate about what you do. And then naturally, of course, things have to turn a little spicy, because of course they do. And Story gets tied to a pole in the barn, and Cole takes out the pineapple candy cane, and they do some stuff with the candy cane. Yeah, so Cole basically places it inside of Story, rubs it around on her, you know, and then takes it back out, puts it in his mouth, and then they have sex. And then Cole finishes inside Story and then takes a candy cane and scoops it out and puts it in Story's mouth. Like, whoa, what? Huh? Got me over here looking at a candy cane like, this went inside her? What? No, thank you. No, thank you. But still, it was a really fun, like, little piece to read, because I was just like, oh, what? So we are in the 6th part of the competition. I've kind of lost count, but it is basically you go on stage at the Caroling Cafe and you put on a performance singing to a Christmas carol of your choosing. So Taryn, Story, and Aunt Cindy have decided to do a rendition of Jingle Bell Rock from the movie Mean Girls. Even Aunt Cindy is up there in this little outfit, dancing along and everything with her little walker. I was like, all right, Aunt Cindy, you go. It's kind of adorable. As for Cole and Max, they decide to put on a performance to the song Blue Christmas. Max and Cole are kind of dressed alike, but right before they go to the competition, Max actually comes across a photo of Cole and his parents standing by a Christmas tree with like a Santa hat on and a necklace and stuff like that. So they decide to incorporate those pieces into their outfits, as well as having a projector place that photo on the wall. and they're singing and everything, and there is not a dry eye in the crowd. Everyone is in tears. This is such a beautiful tribute. Everybody loves it. So Story comes in third. Our pineapple candy cane man, Jimmy, comes in second. And Cole and Max come in first. Now, Story and Cole are continuing their little, I have feelings for you, but we gotta play like we hate each other in public kind of thing. They are sneaking out to one another's house to hook up and everything else. One day, Story has to sneak back into Aunt Cindy's house because she had stayed the night at Cole's house, but she doesn't want Aunt Cindy and Taryn to know that she was over at his house. So she's got to sneak back in. As she's sneaking in, who catches her? Taryn. And Taryn's like, what are you doing? Story's just like, checking to see what kind of snow we got last night. Does this shit ever stop? Taryn goes, it's winter in the mountains. You can expect this every day. Story's like, I just thought that maybe we could catch a break. And saying this, she flips her hair like over her shoulder without even realizing it. And Taryn's like, oh my God, what happened to you? Is that a bruise? And Taryn's just like, yeah. Or Story's just like, yeah, it's a bruise. This is embarrassing. But as I was really excited that I nailed the routine yesterday, I tried to have a quiet celebration to myself in my room last night and ended up jumping, hitting the mirror on the dresser, and it crashed down on my shoulder. I'm surprised you didn't hear it. Taryn's like, oh, I was on the phone with Guy and we were, well, anyway, did you ice it? And Story goes, oh, I was too embarrassed. Looks like I have to suffer now. And then we get this little part in this book where we see that Taryn and Story's relationship is actually a little strained. The both of them haven't really been around one another in quite some time. They don't really know how to converse with one another. So in this scene, Story is trying to get Taryn to open up a little bit because in reality, you know, Story has sat back and looked at it like she doesn't know very much about Taryn. She doesn't know very much about her job. She doesn't know very much about her boyfriend Guy or anything. So she's trying to get Taryn to open up to her just a little bit. So we are now on the final competition, which is the Super Santa Speed round. And it's basically sewing a stocking, gift wrapping. I'm not quite sure what else is in there, but I think there's a couple other stuff. Right before the competition, Aunt Cindy takes both of the girls' hands in hers and says, these past few weeks have been some of the best I've had in a long time. I've thoroughly enjoyed being around you again, seeing your smiling faces in the morning, seeing you work together, enjoying the holiday season like we used to. It's meant so much to me. And Taryn, you've been so wonderful taking care of me, helping me with my rehab. Not to mention your precision with hanging the lights has been a sight to behold. My dear Storybook, you are who I've worried about the most. And Story's like confused. She's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Aunt Cindy goes, because I saw you shut down after what you went through with this town all those years ago. I saw that beautiful heart of yours shrink a size or two, and to me, that was a huge tragedy. You have always been the girl who loved Christmas, who'd spend every waking moment with me, participating in the holiday season. So when I didn't see you come around anymore, I thought that maybe you'd lost your precious, infectious spirit. Story goes, I think I was really only just trying to find myself. Aunt Cindy goes, I understand that, but seeing you here, seeing you smile, seeing you participate in the town Kringle competition has been so beautiful to witness. I'm just overjoyed that you'd compete in my honor. It means the world to me. And then Taryn, of course, goes, Aunt Cindy, ever since I can remember, you have always been the holiday season fun. And this year is no exception, but what I liked the most were our conversations where you shared your wisdom with me. I will always cherish those talks. She then looks at Story and says, Story, I don't say this enough, but I'm proud of you. You have overcome some big fears by participating in this competition, and you've done it with grace, with excellence, and with a dedication that I know means so much to Aunt Cindy. Story goes, okay, wow, I was not ready to get emotional, but yeah, thank you for everything you guys said. That means a lot. Aunt Cindy, you make Christmas what it is. what it always should be. I forgot that. I forgot how much I needed this holiday in my life, how much I need you to be a part of it. And I can't believe I've stayed away for so long. I promise that won't be the case moving forward because you are why I have the magical memories as I do. She turns to Taryn and goes, Taryn, I know we don't get along all the time, and there are moments when I think we don't quite understand each other, but that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate you and love you, because I do. I appreciate your warm heart and the way you take care of anyone who needs help without a question, the big, the small. I appreciate how you set aside your life to come visit me in California, even if all we do is sit around and watch the Lovemark movies I edit. I appreciate you pushing me to be part of this competition and being by my side during the process. I wouldn't have made it this far without you. Oh, I was just like, that's sweet. And so the contest began. The Kringleese running around, Jimmy with the wrapping paper, Ursula with a frown. They cut and they taped and they taped and they cut. Cole stealing glances at Story's round butt. Beatrice sneezed and Jimmy said, bless you, while Ursula haphazardly stuck her hair with the glue. There were ribbons and holly and Christmassy junk, while the crowd in the middle got very, very drunk. Bob Krampus called out the time was halfway done, and now for the dreaded stocking fun. The fabric was thrown, the thread tumbled to the floor. They pasted, they sewed, they ironed some more. Clock's a-ticking, but did that stop them? No, they simply said, we don't have time to sew, we'll simply just glue it instead. Ursula and the doctor used glue like they were pros. Jimmy stood bewildered, just scratching his nose. Story and Cole, they stuck with the thread, even though Story's stocking began to shred. Hands up, Bob said, his voice booming through the air. They threw up their hands and hoped with a prayer. The stocking was lacking. The cards were askew. Beatrice skipped red and green and opted for blue. Who did it? Who won? Who proved to be the best? Cindy bounced for results in her Christmassy vest. Story comes in third place, and Cole and his holly jolly sidekick comes in second. And Jimmy Short came in first. Our pineapple making candy cane person came in first place. Now, at the end of this competition, I think I said it was the last one. It wasn't the last one. My bad. But at the end of this competition, Cole actually pulls Story into some fake trees that are set up, and they're a little bit too close and cozy, and Taryn actually walks by and sees this, and she is absolutely pissed because in Taryn's mind, she feels that Cole does not like Story and that he is completely playing her. She goes, how dare he mess with her, how dare he mess with Aunt Cindy's chance at the title. I can't allow that to happen. Something needs to be done, and now you know exactly what to do. So she strapped on her boots and her coat-colored tan. With one thing in mind, I will destroy this man. Then she loaded up her pockets with a hammer and pliers and took to his house, ready to mess with his wires. She stalked through the snow, empty bags in her fist. He'll regret ever messing with her, she hissed. Then she propped up a ladder alone in the dark. In the distance, a rowdy dog let out an ear-splitting bark. She froze and waited, and when the coast was clear, she ascended the house to remove all the Christmas cheer. She snaked and she snuck, with a smirk quite unpleasant, around the whole roof and took every twinkle light present. With a pop and a flop, the wires tumbled to the ground. Payback was served, and joy she quickly found. Then she slunk to the porch. She took every bulb and every light. She took every Christmas decoration, purely out of spite. She laughed. Oh, how stupid is he going to feel when he sees what I took, what I was able to steal. She took every decoration, and she took it in a flash, and then walked to the garage and threw it in the trash. In the morning when they wake, I know just what they'll do. The Brohards on Whistler Lane will both cry boo-hoo. She dusted off her hands, headed back to the house, while every Kringle in Kringletown slept, even the street mouse. The next day, Cole and Max are on the way to Cole's house. They had spent the night at Max's house. And as they turn into the cul-de-sac, they see that Cole's house is bare, not a light to be seen, not a Christmas decoration to be seen. They're a little shocked at first. They don't understand how it could happen, but then they notice a ladder and footsteps leading from that ladder in their yard back to Aunt Cindy's house. Cole doesn't want to believe it. He's like, there's no fucking way, no way. And Max is like, Cole, it has to be. Who else could it have been? Max is like, this will guarantee you last place in the light display, and they know how close you are to winning the whole thing. So Max thinks that Story was leading Cole on, was playing with him the whole time. Cole goes, I thought she liked me. I guess I was completely wrong. I guess she was just pretending, just using me this entire time. Before Cole can even think about anything, he actually storms up to Aunt Cindy's house and pounds on the front door. Story is the one who answers it, and he feels like a wave of emotion hit him because he's like, fuck, I liked her. And I thought she liked me. And Story is just like, Cole, what are you doing here? Before Cole can say anything, Max kind of presses his hand to Cole's shoulder and goes, Cole's been through a lot, Story, more than any person should ever have to go through. And for you to just use him like that to play with his emotions, and then when you think the time is right, strike. Well, it's all kind of fucked up. And Story's like, what are you talking about? Cole goes, the house, Story. And Story's like, what about it? Cole's like, the fucking lights. Don't play dumb with me. You took them down last night because you were so fucking scared you weren't going to win. You snuck out and stole them. You fucking used me this whole time, faked it, made me believe that there was something between us only to sabotage me in the end. Who the fuck does that? What kind of heartless human are you? Story's just over here like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. And Cole is just like, sure you don't. Play dumb, Story. You've been doing so good at it so far, acting like you have no idea what you're doing in this competition, in this town, all this to gain sympathy from me. Well, it worked. It fucking worked, and now you can revel in your accomplishment because I'm done. Story's like, hold on. Cole, I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, stop. Just fucking stop. I can't be near you. And him and Max just storm out and go to the house. And Story is just like confused and hurt, and she has no idea what the hell is going on. Then she finally looks over at Cole's house and she's like, holy shit. Like, his house is bare. What the hell happened? At this point, Aunt Cindy and Taryn appear in the living room, and Aunt Cindy asks Story what was going on. I heard yelling, and Taryn is just there like, there was yelling? And Aunt Cindy is like, yes, I think it was Cole and Atlas, but I don't know why they would be yelling at Story. Did you two have a lovers quarrel? Taryn goes, Aunt Cindy, they weren't really lovers. Taryn sees Story and she's like, are you crying? And Story goes, because, like, in between sobs, she's like, I think I love him. And Taryn's just like, what? Like, I know he was playing you, Story, but you can't. And Story cuts Taryn off and goes, playing me? What are you talking about? Taryn goes, listen, I know this is going to be hard to understand given the state that you're in, but he didn't really like you. This whole relationship thing, it was a distraction so he could take the lead in the Kringle competition. And I don't blame. And Story goes, this isn't about the stupid Kringle competition. This is about me and Cole. We've been seeing each other. Taryn's like, yeah, I know. And Aunt Cindy is just like, wait, I'm confused. Girl, I love Aunt Cindy. Taryn goes, it's simple, really. Cole was worried he was going to lose a competition against us, so he made Story fall for him. And apparently she did. But it wasn't because he liked her. And Story's like, yes, it was. And Taryn's like, Story, it was all pretend for him. And Story's over here like, it wasn't. It was real. Everything about it was real. And Taryn is still just like, no, Story, he took advantage of the crush you've had on him for years. Story's like, no, he didn't. I know what I experienced with him these past weeks, and I saw the pain in his eyes when he came over here blaming me for what happened to his house. And Cindy's like, what happened? What happened to his house? This lady over here, she is still confused. I feel for Aunt Cindy in all of this poor little old lady. Taryn just goes, I took down the lights. Story's like, you did it? You were the one who took down his lights? Taryn's like, yes, I was, and I did it for you. And Story's like, why on earth would you do that? And Taryn's like, because he was using you. And Story's just like, no, he wasn't. He wasn't, Taryn. God, I can't believe you did this, that you would stoop so low as to hurt someone like that. This is the first Christmas he's actually celebrated since his parents passed. And you went and ruined that. You took that away from him, took away the joy, made him believe that the person who was falling for him betrayed him in the worst way possible. He by no means was using me. He by no means was trying to take advantage of me. He helped me at points. He was my rock through these past few competitions, and he made me realize that I could step past my fears and tackle big things. And you went and ruined that. I have to talk to him. She runs outside and she tries to flag down Max and Cole as they're leaving. but they don't want to listen to her and they just drive away. She runs back inside and she's like, Taryn, where did you put the lights? Taryn tells her she put them in the trash. And that's when she decides that she's got to do something. She has to put him back on the house. She has to fix this. She has to get Cole back. So she marches over to May and Martha's house, pounds on the door, and they answer. And they're like, my goodness, what on earth are you doing, Story? And she's like, I need your help. And they're like, with what? And she goes, with Cole's house. It's a long story, but I need help putting his lights back up. And we need to do it before Paula and Peach come around for the final judgment tonight. And they're like, well, why are his lights down? And she's like, please, Martha, please don't ask questions. Please just help me. I need you to round up everyone you can. We need to put the lights back up. Please, Martha. They tell her okay and that she can count on them. We cut to Cole in the reindeer barn talking to the reindeer. And all I can picture is that scene from Frozen where Kristoff is sitting with Sven and he's singing, reindeers are better than people. And I'm like, that's Kristoff. Cole is Kristoff. We cut to Taryn asking Story if they can talk. And Story talks to Taryn and lays it all out on the table of how everything from the fake dating progressed into what it became with Cole. And at the end of this entire conversation, there was heart-clutching touches of anger, and then at the end of it, they pulled each other into a hug and cried. Which I was like, finally, these two are getting along and getting close to one another, which is what they need to do. And just like Martha and May said that they were going to round up people, they did. There was Martha and May, Frank and Thackeray, the Dankworth children who lived across the street, Jimmy and Ursula and even Beatrice came and worked on getting everything set back up around Cole's house. After all of the setting up and the lights are done on Cole's house, Aunt Cindy's like, girls, we need to have a talk. And Story's like, I don't have time for this. And Aunt Cindy's like, you will make time for this. Get in this living room, sit down. They noticed that she is not using a cane. She is not using her walker. She hasn't needed to be in her wheelchair for quite some time. So they're like, why are you walking so well? This was a twist in the book I was not expecting. That when they ask, why are you walking so well? She goes, that's what I need to talk to you about. Please sit down. And she goes, I'm afraid I haven't been as truthful as I should have been. You see, back in the summer of this year, I had a conversation with your mother. She was concerned. They're like, concerned about what? She's like, concerned about you two. She sensed that you were drifting further apart with each passing year and worried that if we didn't intervene, you might lose touch just like I did with my sister, like your mom and her own mother. So we devised a plan. Taryn goes, please don't tell me your hip was never broken. And Cindy goes, unfortunately, that is the case. We thought that if I faked an injury and you two were forced to come take care of me, we could possibly mend the fissures in your relationship. Taryn's like, there were no fissures. We were fine. And Story goes, were we though? And it's like, what are you talking about? Of course we are fine. And Story goes, then how come I really know nothing about Guy? Why don't I know about what's going on in your life? Why didn't I feel comfortable telling you how lonely I was in California and how I didn't know what to do with that feeling? Taryn's like, you were feeling alone? Story's like, yes, and sure, at first I didn't want to be here, but then I realized how much this town means to me, how much I needed this town, how much I needed you, Taryn, how much I needed Cole. Taryn's like, I had no clue that you felt all of this. Story's like, because you don't talk to me. You're so fixated on your job, which I'm proud of you for. It takes a lot to do what you do, but you zero in on it and nothing else. I'll text you and it will take you 3 days to text back. I understand you're busy, your job is demanding, but not even a text back at night. Taryn's like, I didn't know that bothered you. Story says, of course it bothers me. You're my sister. Up until your abhorrent decision to take down Cole's decorations to protect me, I honestly wasn't sure if you even cared about me. Taryn's like, of course I care about you. I love you, Story, and I'm sorry if I haven't been as invested in your life as I should be. There's no excuse for it, and all I can really say is that I need to do better. We come to learn that Aunt Cindy really didn't even care if Story won the town Kringle competition. And Taryn goes, but you made it seem like you were desperate to win it this year. And Aunt Cindy goes, and my acting coach who has been helping me through our summer community theater productions would be very proud of me. And Taryn's like, what about the doctor's appointments I took you to? Aunt Cindy says, that was a friend of mine, actually. I noticed that Story was starting to care for Cole, so I thought that if I took you away for a night and gave them some time, we could let their little relationship grow. And Story's just over here like, wait, you knew about me and Cole? And Aunt Cindy's like, Story, sweetheart, everyone in town did. Taryn's like, I didn't. And Taryn's like, okay, right. So let me get this straight. You never hurt your hip. You never cared about the Christmas Kringle competition. And I was so worked up about winning the damn thing for this family that I stupidly took the lights off an innocent man's house. And Cindy goes, I believe that's correct. I can't believe you lied to us. Hell, I can't believe I didn't even realize it. And Aunt Cindy goes, more like fibbed to bring you together, to bring us all together. Also felt like I was losing you two. You hadn't visited in quite some time, and well, I'm an old lady now, and sure, I'm active in the community and have a lot going on, but that doesn't compare to the memories of when you girls would visit me during this time. I missed you. I missed this. I felt like getting you two to come again called for drastic measures, so I went for it, and I'm sorry I deceived you. But I'm also not sorry. I got to spend the holiday season with my girls. I got to relive some of my best memories and witness how you both have grown into your personalities. I got to watch you work together, and Story, from a distance, I got to see you reconnect with a boy I always thought belonged with you. Cindy for the win, man. Aunt Cindy goes, I love you two very much, and I want you to remember you might have your own paths in life, but that should never derail you from the path we all take as a family. If you get lost along the way, we are always here to help you find your way back. Now, as Cole is just chilling in the reindeer barn, just going over and over about how he was right about hating Christmas and how he should have never given Story a chance and all that, Max shows up and he goes, you're going to stay the night at my parents' house. Come on, let's go. You cannot stay the night here out in this barn with the reindeer. So they get into Max's truck, and as they are driving, Cole realizes why did you have to come get me? You live on this farm. Like, we could have just walked to your house. So why did we need the truck? And that's when Cole realizes that they're actually leaving the farm and turning onto the cul-de-sac where Cole lives. As they turn down the cul-de-sac where Cole lives, he hears a noise. And it was just like that scene out of The Grinch, where the Grinch is on the mountaintop and he can hear the Who's start singing. What he heard, it wasn't sad. No, this noise was quite merry. It sounded like people, lots of people, making him wary. He stared down Whistler Lane and Cole widened his eyes. Then he blinked, for what he saw was a stunning surprise. Up ahead on the right was his house lit in green, the brightest house of all houses he had ever seen. And one by one, along the cul-de-sac, they stood hand in hand, the loving people of Kringle, next to a large marching band. And they sang, and they cheered, and they stood in Christmas glory. And right in the middle of it all, the girl of his heart, his very own Story. And he puzzled and thought, and he puzzled some more. Then Cole thought of something he hadn't thought before. Story, he thought. Maybe I judged her all wrong. Maybe she is the one with whom I truly belong. Cole and Max get out of the car, and Cole greets Story and says, hi. And she's like, hi. And she goes, I'm not very good at this kind of grand gesture, but after editing so many Love Mark movies, I think I have an idea. Karen was the one who took down the lights. I had no idea she did it until she confessed. It was stupid, and she did it because she thought you were using me, that you didn't really have feelings for me, and I tried to convince her that wasn't the case. But then after the argument this morning, I thought maybe it was the truth, and Cole looks at her and goes, it's not. Okay, well, that's good to know because, well, I have this thing I have to tell you, and I'm nervous, but I need to tell you. I didn't realize just how lonely I was, Cole, until I came here, until I saw you, until there was that level of connection, of comfort I always seem to feel when our eyes meet. When I was younger, I didn't understand what that feeling was. But now that I'm older, now that I thought I'd lost it, I can tell you exactly what it is. I love you, Cole. These feelings I have for you are unmistakable. It's as if whenever I see you, the air in my lungs is refreshed, my pulse is revived, my soul feels at peace. I don't want to lose that, ever. And then what happened in Kringle, they would say, was that Cole's black heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the moment Cole's heart didn't pulse quite so tight, he grabbed Story by the waist and kissed her under the green light. And they decided that night they didn't care in the least about the competition, but rather enjoyed a chicken parm feast. I will say, like, with romance novels, I feel like the endings are always so cliche. Like, the boy gets the girl gets the boy, they live happily ever after, whatever. Reading this, though, I was rooting for Story. I was rooting for Cole, for them to find their way to one another. Like, I wanted this book to have a happy ending, and that is exactly what we got, especially because we get an epilogue at the end of the book. And the epilogue takes place, I want to say, like, maybe a year or so later. Story and Cole have moved into Cole's house next door to Aunt Cindy. They have an adorable little baby girl named Florence, and they're actually getting married on Christmas Eve. As for Taryn, she decided to actually move to Kringletown because as soon as she found out that Story was pregnant, she's like, I'm moving to Kringletown. Her and Guy bought a house because Taryn is not going to miss a minute of being a part of her niece's life. As for Max/Atlas, he has actually entered the Kringletown competition. So all is well, happily ever after. But I need a sequel to this. And I need the sequel to be about Max/Atlas. I need to see him competing in the Kringletown competition. I need him finding love something, because of all the characters, I loved Max. He was like that sidekick that you need in every TV show, movie, book, whatever. I was living for Max and the banter that he had with his best friend Cole. But that was my Christmas read, my little December read. It was, again, How My Neighbor Stole Christmas. If you have read this, let me know what you thought about it. Did you like it as much as I did? Like I said, I was going into this thinking it was like a modern day Grinch retelling. In a way, it's along the same storyline as The Grinch, kind of. There's a lot of differences, obviously. And let me know who your favorite character from the book was. Was it Story? Was it Cole? Or did you, like me, fall in love with Max/Atlas? Hope you enjoyed this video. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this book, all that kind of stuff, and I hope to see you in the next video. Love you. Bye.